Oh ho, I think we're going live here. Oh yeah. I think we're live, Mike.
I believe we are. How are you, Pietro?
Another day, another dime. You will see it's a little overcast today, and our particular uh, company-wide Logitech rollout cameras don't seem to have any white balance. I have checked the video settings, and they do have things like low light, touch up my appearance, etc. But there's nothing specifically about white balance. I can't choose like fluorescent tungsten, so it's just blue because it's overcasty out. But yeah, I'm doing well. What's happening over there?
Well, I've gotten like the full specs for the TCL next
That's
paper
right. You
8.8.
reached out. Yeah, yeah.
So I guess we'll talk about maybe that on the show.
We will.
Um,
We're going to let some people filter in first, and more than four people. And when we do, we're going to hit up a little bit of a different format this time. So we're going to be doing 10-minute segments, and we're only going to be doing 3 or 4 segments, and we will touch on TCL. I'll let you handle that one, Mike. This way, because we have listened to the people, and a lot of people said that we go off the rails, and we know we do. It was just a casual thing. We're going to be time stamping it a little bit easier now. So we're going to take the first 5 minutes, let people filter in, just kind of ask each other some stuff. And then at the 10-minute mark at 10:10, 5:10 p.m. Pacific, we'll start with the segment. So let's just wait for some people to join up there, Mike.
sure. Something happened in the news industry this week, which was kind of like interesting.
Okay.
You heard of Wattpad before, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we met them on several occasions at trade shows. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're based in Toronto. They're sort of like around the same area as like where Kobo is.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They've been going on since like 2010. They're sort of like they started out as like a fan fiction site, but they kind of like moved on to like just like being like a self-publishing sort of like website where like authors will like write stuff by the chapters and like
Yeah.
people will say, oh, I wonder what's going to happen to the main character, or in another chapter can you talk about this instead, so authors get like immediate feedback as they're in the process of like writing.
Oh,
So
wow.
they were sold last week to Naver, which is a South Korean
Oh,
company.
they make Line and Kakao Talk.
Yeah, so
Wow, they're huge.
they're known for like Snow Video, the digital comics platform Webtoon, the live streaming platform V Live, where K-pop celebrities use it to like post videos to interact with fans. So they were named the world's ninth most innovative company by Forbes in 2018. So
Cool.
they bought Wattpad for 600 million in cash, and so Wattpad is going to be like operating still like on their own, you know what I mean? But this money will kind of give Naver access to like all of Wattpad's like catalogs and stuff
That's
like that.
that's crazy. Yeah, they're a huge company. If you guys ever have heard of Kakao Talk or Line or anything like that, it's kind of like WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger. Those are the guys that make it. They've even gone to the point where it's like Line has stores in Japan, and like Kakao Talk has the little characters, the little emojis. They have stores in like, South Korea and Seoul and stuff. You can walk in and you can you buy like, the little guys and stuff. So yeah, that's really cool. That's actually huge news. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars in cash. It's not like they sit around a big table with a bunch of briefcases. Cash means like, there's no other loans or, sort of credit applied or anything. It's like liquid money that just gets
Yeah,
injected
instead
into
of
the
like
company.
stock,
It's not
like
cash. Yeah,
yeah, like a lot of deals are usually like half stock, half cash,
that's
or
right.
something like
Yeah,
that. But this is like
a
an
mix
all
of
cash
assets.
deal. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So we're at our 5-minute mark. Let us bounce into the first thing. Bigme, Mike. Bigme has launched. And yet again, Kaleido 2, which is the latest generation of e-ink color, the fourth generation overall, and the second gen of the new gen that has come out recently. So yeah, yet again, another Chinese company has brought it out, and it's called the Bigme. It's 10.3, and it does note taking. Tell us a little bit about it.
All right, so let's take a look at this so people could get a sense on what this is all about.
That's right. This is called
So
the Bigme. Look at that.
So this is like using Kaleido 2, and this is
Yeah.
like the first large screen tablet that's actually been announced that's using this technology. So you'll be able to draw, take notes, edit PDF files all in full color. You'll be able to like read like digital comics, newspapers, magazines, like things that are indicative of like
huge.
full color.
Yeah.
This is what it's all about. So it's called the Bigme B1 Pro, and it's available on the Goody Reader app stores like a pre-order. It's coming
Goody
out.
Reader store.
That's right. And it's
Yeah.
running 8.1. It's like using like a 10.3-inch screen. And there's really no word yet on like the resolution and the PPI when it comes to color. We'll have more of a, as this comes like out, we'll know all that, those sort of details. But it's like running quad core, 2 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of storage, 32 gigs of internal storage.
Yeah.
There's a SIM card tray for internet and Wi-Fi, USB-C, dual microphones for video chat and stuff like that.
You know, I've always noticed that with these Chinese companies, when they release something, they never skimp out on the actual on paper specs. They're always really, really high. Deca-core processors, 10-core processors, octa-core processors. They never leave any of that out. It always feels like the more North American biased companies like Kobo and Kindle and Nook and all those guys, you know, have like single core processors, a couple gigs of storage. But like all these Chinese companies, look at this, 5,000 milliamp battery, a SIM card. You know, if you don't want to use it for telecommunication, you don't have to, but it has it. It's got 2 microphones, for crying out loud.
Yeah, so I believe that this product, because they say that it works with 40 different languages, like including English, French, Japanese, it'll probably be not just region locked to China. Although
I would imagine so.
So we've purchased this. We're just waiting for them to deliver it. It's available sometime like between now and like next month. So
yeah, unfortunately with these kind of guys, we talk to them, but I mean, you know as well as anyone, Mike, I mean, dealing with these faceless companies, it's like you send them a proper company to company request. It's like, hey, we want to, you know, see if we can get a press communication going, if we can get a sample, etc. Just your emails go nowhere, and they go absolutely nowhere. So we had to unfortunately buy one as is and just kind of bring it in ourselves. So that's just the reality of this.
Yeah, so you can see some of the specs here.
It looks good. And you know, elephant in the room, it's obviously copying the Remarkable layout with the dual you know, contrasting color tone on the side, because basically Remarkable started that, Onyx followed suit, iReader followed suit, Bigme followed suit. So they're all kind of taking a stab at it. But you know what? Go back to that stylus there, Mike. Let's take a look at that. That stylus looks different than anything else. It's almost looking like an active capacitive stylus because it has a light on it, a power button, and it looks like it needs to be charged, or at least the battery's replaced.
Yeah, so it's an interesting stylus design.
Yeah, because we don't know if they're using Wacom to the point where it's okay to use with passive pens, like, you know, like the Lamy, the Stadler, the Mitsubishi, the iReader, etc., or if you can only use that pen, because like that's what Boyu does with the latest one. That's what Sony does. Like you can't use any other pens. You can only use that one. So that all remains to be seen, but it looks like it's finally here.
So the drawback is the price. It's $949.
Yeah.
So
that's
it'll probably come down in price, like hopefully in like the next few months, but this is like what they're charging. So we're not making a lot of money from selling this. We're just doing it as like a courtesy to like make it available for people that want to actually buy a digital note-taking device that's in full color.
That's exactly it. When it comes down to things like Free Write, Remarkable, Bigme, we don't make almost anything on those after shipping and tax and logistics and everything. We make almost nothing. We do make money on the companies that we have an actual relationship with, companies that we have an actual agreement in place with that we've been working with for almost a decade. But all these ones we just resell, we don't make anything. It's just giving back to our fans, giving back to our base, expanding the e-ink world. But dude, this looks great. This looks like it's other than the price tag. But you know what? People are buying Lumis, and Lumis are $900. People are buying Padmus and Guidos and all sorts of stuff. So 900 US, it's not cheap. We understand that, especially from different markets. It may be like
Yeah,
a month's salary.
it's like not out of the realm of like financial
That's exactly
possibility.
it.
Like,
Yeah,
you
the
know, look at
Lenovo's
the
at
25
1100.
inch like the
Yeah,
Dasung monitor. It's like $3,500 for a 25-inch
yeah.
monitor.
Even
So
the older Dasungs are like 1,200 bucks. The Sony is 900 bucks to 800 bucks. So like, yeah, I mean, again, we're not taking it light, and we're not making it, we're not treating it as we should be desensitized to the price, but we're not surprised. I mean, look at anything now. Any flagship smartphones like $1,200.
they're
You know,
first to the market. So
that's right.
it remains to be seen that if future 10.3-inch devices from companies like
Correct.
Pocketbook or Onyx or Boyu or anyone else, like even just this Bigme product just came out of like nowhere. So
Out of nowhere. Yeah.
there should be a lot of 10.3-inch note-taking devices that are hitting the market. It just remains to be seen if they'll all be priced this high or if Bigme is just an anomaly. And
That's right.
because
We
they're
don't
a
know if
young
that's
company, this is their first major product. They charge more because it's like they're sort of relatively new, so it's like they don't have the
you know what they
infrastructure in
might.
place.
You're right. It might be like that. Let's look at the only history we have, and that is the iReader C1, C6. When that came out, it was $329. But the Pocketbook, the Hisense, and the Onyx color offerings of last year were not that. It was like 270 and below. I mean, the Pocketbook was 199. So yes, first to the market. I mean, it's supply and demand. Do you want color note taking? Yes, buy it. How much is it? It doesn't matter because this is the only one. When, like Mike said, when we start to see all these other companies employ it, and we see 5 or 6 choices, we'll be like, oh, okay, 479, 999, 379. We know there's going to be options. And undoubtedly this year, there's going to be not only 10.3s, but there's going to be 7.8s, there's going to be 6.8s, respectively. There's going to be different sizes. So yeah, the Bigme looks good. The pen worries me in the way, not worries me, but it worries me in the way where, can you use anything else on it? Is there going to be any choice? Because we've seen recently that when it comes to styluses, there's a lot of choice now. And people might want something made out of wood, something made out of metal, plastic, carbon, you know what I mean? Aluminum, plastic. Sorry, I said plastic, PVC. There's options. But if the Bigme's like, nope, only this one, it's like, well, it is what it is. But we'll have to see because no one on any English review channel has it yet.
Yeah, from what I understand is that just adding color adds like about another $150 to $200 to price tag. So if you look at like what the Note 3 is retailing for, or the Note Air, or the Supernote A5X, just add another $100 or $200. For a $500 product, that's already $700 or $800. So the Bigme price isn't outside the realm of the pricing strategy, because like if you look at the Pocketbook Color and say like the Pocketbook Touch Lux 5, there is a price difference by almost $100. If you look at
the Poke 2 and the Poke 2 Color, the Poke 2 was $179, the Poke 2 Color was $279. So it's exactly that $100. Yeah.
So that's generally what we saw on like the small screens. Whether we'll start to see that on the large screens, because obviously larger screens cost more money. The faster internals and stuff cost more money. So yeah, I mean, color adding another $100 or $200. This $800, $700. I think we'll see $700 to about $1,000 is the average for a 10.3.
I was gonna say
7.8, 6.8. and everywhere in between, that, the price thing for that remains to be seen, because there's really no comparable for color beyond really
Although
6 inches at this point.
the A7CC, which we'll get to in a second, is bigger than 6, but that's a cell phone, so you're dealing with a lot more mechanisms. There's a lot more that goes into a tightly packed cell phone than the e-reader industry, so that's why we're seeing a little bit of a higher price tag on the smartphone than we are on the Bigme. Well, not the Bigme. Bigme's pretty expensive, but anything else that may be coming that's color. Speaking of that, we've hit our 10 minutes, so we're going to move over to the A7. A7 Hisense. Now, they did something that they did exactly what they did with the A5, and that is release something and then instantly cannibalize it with something better. Not better, but different. And it was really weird. The A5 Pro came out, then the A5 Pro CC came out, and very short succession. So, for example, we are selling the A5 right now, but sorry, the A7. But the A7CC is set to release next month, and they've said that we're taking pre-orders. So it's kind of like, are you going to wait, or are you going to buy the A7? So, what's up with that, Mike?
In regards to what?
I don't know. Just chat about it. So it's like, why do you think Hisense releases their base model and doesn't even really give it that much of a fighting chance? They just kind of say, here's the A7, and then 4 days later they're like, now releasing the CC, and it's like, I understand, but why would I not buy the color one? Because there's color, and it's just as fast, it's just as capable.
Well, okay, so first of all, Hisense isn't too invested in e-ink phones. They're more invested in, like, when it comes to phones, fully featured Android color LCD smartphones. So when they have an event, like when they do like on stage, and like they are devoting money towards PR, getting people to tune into like the live stream, the CEO or whoever's in charge of the smartphone division runs through a script, and they have like pictures on the big screen TV. They're not going to do that for every single new model. If they're announcing a series of new ink products, they're going to do it all at once, because it doesn't make sense to like go through all that rigmarole and the expense of announcing new devices if you're going to do a show for just one device. You're going to like basically announce your entire e-ink range for like the next 6 months. So that makes sense from like a logistics, from a production type of view. So I'm not surprised. There's a lot of people for e-ink smartphones that don't want color. They just want like a black and white phone, nice contrast, good resolution. And then there's other people that are like, well, I want a color phone. And so the color A7CC is using eink Kaleido 2, and it is like it'd be like around like about 6.7 inches or so. So the price difference for those models, the A7 is about $459, and the A7CC is $529. So roughly again, like not even like $100 difference or so, like sub 100. So you're not paying like a tremendous amount of money for the color version of this phone. So are they going to like release a Pro CC? Maybe. It depends how well this sells. Because in the past, like the Hisense color lines of phones weren't $500 phones. They were like $300 phones. The Pro model was like, I think like $399 to $400. So
that's right.
Charging like another $100 plus on top of that, will customers like adopt that? Well, there is something compelling about using like the past color phones were about 5.84 inches in size. Both the CC and the Pro CC for the last generation. This generation is like the screen is like an inch and a little bit bigger. So it's pulling double duty as being a fully functioning smartphone in your pocket, but also being like a perfectly suitable daily driver. You could also use it to read more than you could on a smaller screen. Obviously, when you talk about, say, e-readers like, say, the Kindle Paperwhite and the Kindle Oasis, it's reading on a bigger screen just fits more text, less page turns. You can increase like the font size a little bit bigger and still fit more text on a larger screen than you could on a smaller screen. So there's if you like to read on your smartphone, whether you're reading like RS news feeds like on Feedly or like whatever is your thing of
Your
choice, but
go-to.
even
Yeah.
even reading manga and like reading just ebooks and stuff, it's better to use a larger screen than it is a smaller screen. So we've done some reviews on this lately, and you know, you basically spearheaded the reviews. Like you have the A7 right there, don't you?
Yes, I do. I was like looking for it. Yeah, so the A7, to be completely honest, I will never switch my main smartphone to this. But that was really close. I was using this and we were testing and we're just like, man, this is like one step away from making me want to like use this full time. It's built beautifully. It does everything and it's half the price as any other flagship. It's amazing. And yeah, it's just, we're so spoiled, man, by like instant gratification and the fact that I click on something and it renders and I see it and I'm like, okay, close, open this, chat, double window, split screen. There's so much you can do on a regular smartphone that eink just, it's a little slow, but man, is that good. You could use this as your daily driver if you aren't to the point where you need like split second decision making response. This is absolutely capable. This thing is a monster and it does everything, and I think it has even higher specs than some people I know's smartphones that they use day to day. It's got fingerprint sensors, it's got a nice flash package. It's great.
Okay,
And it's
so
huge.
for, for
Yeah.
for people that really don't know a lot about
Yeah.
the A7 phone and e-ink phones in general, give me your top 5 reasons why people should buy this e-ink smartphone.
They
Because
should
like
buy it.
you've done a review,
Yeah.
we have a
Oh,
review
that's good.
online. So
You're
what are
putting me
the
on the
top 5
spot.
things?
So you know what? In terms of an e-ink device, it's probably one of the fastest, if not the fastest refresh, because it is so spec heavy that the e-ink screen has all the fuel and all the juice it needs to do whatever you tell it to do. You open the settings, it just like opens up right away. You have speed modes, you have 4 different speed modes. So the first thing would be that the refresh is incredible. You can watch videos on YouTube, you can swipe through your Facebook feed, and it just works. Second reason probably is that it looks gorgeous because it's a dense screen. It's big for a smartphone, but it's not too big, and the PPI is nice and tightly packed. And you have 4 speed modes, meaning that you can make it super nice looking, or you can make it a little bit less nice looking and make it speedy. Another thing is that, yeah, if you wanted to switch to an e-ink device, like you said, you can do your reading on this. It's big enough. And you can use it as a phone. You can take pictures. The camera, it has like, speakers and everything on it. Another thing is that it's not a locked experience. So you can download any app you want. I put the Kindle app on here, the Good e-Reader app store, and there you go. So that's 4 reasons. What's the other one? I don't know, but yeah, I didn't have that planned. You kind of caught me off guard, but yeah, it's fast. It has good refresh. It can be used as an all-in-one, and you can do your phone, you can do Facebook, you can do like, WhatsApp and chat, and read books on it and PDFs and manga and everything. It's pretty nice. And the color one's just going to be like that much nicer. Remember, color is just a filter. It doesn't slow the thing down. It's not like, oh, it has color. Oh my gosh. No, it's just a filter.
It's the
that's
same
overlaying.
phone in terms of specs and everything Peter just mentioned.
That's
it's just
it.
It'll be there's just like a color version of it. So
That's right.
the color, it would be the only thing that's changed from this model that we've just reviewed and shown you,
Right.
and the color models. So that's one thing to make sure. But a lot of people are probably asking about, will this phone work in our country? So
I believe it does have a lot of bands.
Yeah, so 5G is pretty well like a uniform technology. So if you're local, like there's different versions of 5G, but suffice to say, this works with all of them. So you'll be able to use 5G. So if you live in the States, you'll be able to use 5G and 4G LTE on like Sprint. Okay, so but basically everyone but Sprint, you'll be able to use it on like T-Mobile, AT&T, like all those companies in Canada, TELUS, Rogers, Bell, virtually every provider. So Sprint is like the outlier, but you'll be able to like use a lot of like the major brands. Same with the UK. It works with like almost everything from like Orange to like this and that. So if you have a specific question on will this work for my specific provider, just send us like an email. to sales@goodereader.com, and we can just like list the bands and what carriers this will work with in your own country, because like a lot of people just don't live in the US and Canada. I live in Israel, I live in Botswana, I live in like Romania. So if you want to know what bands work, we can't just possibly list them all like on this phone's like entry, because it would just be like too much information. But we'll tell you that on like a case by case basis.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the most part, most major bands will work. This isn't going to be one thing where it's like, LTE band 4 only. And then it's like, okay, does it work on like Chatter? Does it work on T-Mobile? Oh, it only works on AT&T. No, this is like most phones now are like band 1/2/3/4, all the way up to like 99. So there was that divide a couple years back where phones had to be locked and you had to get it unlocked using codes. And like now, if you go to most providers, like you go to AT&T, you go to Rogers, you go to Orange, you're like, can you unlock my phone? They're like, yeah, sure. And they unlock your phone. You know what I mean? Because there's less of like a restriction kind of thing. So
yeah, I mean, a lot of phones just come unlocked now. Like they don't
now,
like,
exactly, yeah.
most
And if you
phones generally are not locked. So the Hisense range of phones are not locked. You don't have to pay anything to unlock them. They come unlocked. So
and if your phone is locked, like I said, you can maybe go over to your provider. Like I went over to Docomo here when I bought my wife's iPhone and it was locked. And I was like, can you unlock it? They're like, yeah, sure. And you sit at the desk. And he's like, do, click, click. It's unlocked. You bounce. So yeah, it's good.
Okay, so we have some new information on the TCL Next Paper 8.8.
Yes.
So I know a lot of people watching the show, watching the VODs in chat, they want to know more about this. So we actually have the full specs, whereas nobody up until today has known the specs. So let's talk about it. So it'll feature, a lot of people were saying it's an 8-inch display. It's actually an 8.8.8 display. It's using
what?
So it's like 8.8.8. So it's like 8.8.8.
You can't have more than one decimal. So you mean 8.88?
Yes, 8.88.
So if you round up, that should be 8.9. That's weird that they told you 8.8 then. But anyways, it's probably better.
So it's using an IPS display with Next Paper technology. So the resolution is 1440 by 1080, which is new. 200 ppi, which is also new. It's using a 10-point capacitive touchscreen display. There is no light, so there's no backlight, no front light, nothing.
And I'll touch on that in a second.
But the TCL is actually producing a light that plugs into the USB port, so it'll be like a reading light. So if you're reading in bed, for example, or you don't have like all this light on that I have in my room, or if it's like Peter, like you don't have like a lot of light in that room, but when it turns dark, you're gonna have to turn on lights and stuff like that to like see. So TCL is making a light for this for this. So we do know some further information here. It has a G sensor, Hall switch, L sensor, and a P sensor. It also is certified IP52 for water and dust resistance.
Right.
So before I talk about what's under the hood, how does the Next Paper handle brightness? Because like if it has no light, how are you supposed to see what's on the screen? So it has an automatic adaptive brightness engine that detects ambient light of your environment and adjusts the brightness and color temperatures accordingly for the best viewing. It currently has 26 unique eye protection patents and certifications. So they filter out everything for natural like illumination. So you'll be getting full color. So like 200 ppi is pretty good. I don't know exactly how many colors it is, but generally like an IPS display is like about like 1.1, 1.4 million or so. So underneath the hood is a MediaTek Helio processor. It's using like I believe like a quad core processor, as well as a dedicated GPU, 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of storage, SD card capable of 256 gigs.
That's big.
Yeah, so it has 2 cameras in addition to Bluetooth, FM radio, USB-C. So the rear-facing camera is 8 megapixels. The front-facing camera is 5 megapixels. We also know more about the audio engine now. It has stereo speakers on like the bottom of the device. So like sort of where the USB speak. It's like where the iPad audio is. It's sort of like on the bottom where the USB port is. So it's if you have it faced, you know, generally what a lot of companies do, they'll put speakers like on the back here. So if you have it like it laid down, you're gonna muffle the sound. Whereas
Right.
like with a lot of devices, they'll have speakers sort of at the bottom here.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
if you're just
That's better.
if you just
Side or
hold,
bottom. Yeah.
that's right. So you'll be able to like listen to audiobooks, music, podcasts. You'll also be able to plug in wired headphones because it has a 3.5
Yes.
3.5 millimeter headphone jack as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
But if
yeah.
you have like USB-C headphones or if you have Bluetooth headphones, you can plug those in as well. There's a dual microphone setup. So in conjunction with you know, the cameras that can also shoot video, you can use Zoom like we're doing now,
Right.
WhatsApp, Skype, Discord, any type of voice communication type stuff. Even like you like the Cisco the WebEx chat platform, you can do that. So it not only does it have like Wi-Fi, but it also has a SIM card slot, which is nobody
Yeah.
knew this up until this point. So this is like the bands here, and this is like the full bands for like GSM,
That's a
uh,
fair amount. That's a fair
LTE.
amount. Yeah.
So these are a lot of
You
bands.
see,
So
that's why they did that, because they have, for example, 38, 39, 40. Those are a lot of well, for us, overseas bands. We're usually used to like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You said, Mike, that they're going to be releasing in a lot of Asian countries first. So they're going to do like Eastern Asia, Western Asia. They're going to do Africa. They're going to do like Europe. So they need to hit all these bands. And that's the reason why they have a SIM card slot. If you look at most of the e-readers and devices that come out in North American audiences, none of them have SIM cards. But all the ones that are coming out in Asia, the Bigme, the Whiskey, the TCL, they all have SIM cards, and it's like standardized that they have SIM cards. You know what I mean? So they need that cellular connectivity because a lot of people don't have Wi-Fi.
yeah. So it's powered by a 5,500 milliamp battery, which
Right.
should be good for daily usage of about 3 to 4 weeks before you have to recharge, or 400 hours of standby time. That's crazy.
That
So
is.
it has Android 10. You can sideload your own apps, but there's no details yet if it has Google Play. That's the one thing that we don't know. Considering that it is a global release and like
Yeah.
it has like all of the sensors that are necessarily you need,
Yeah.
like G sensor and like you know, all that type of stuff. That's generally with plus cameras. That's generally all Google needs to like officially certify this device. So we don't like Hisense hasn't. I'm sorry, TCL's not marketed this as Google Play yet.
Yeah.
Maybe they're still trying to get certifications. This does come out in April, so there's time. So yeah, this took, you know, basically what excites me about this is that it's a true alternative to e-ink, in a respect that we're finally seeing a commercially viable product. You know, we've
I
seen,
see that Plastic Logic, Clear Ink, Miracell, Liquid Vista, all those companies are still doing things, but none of them release anything.
yeah. So it's like everybody who's tried to compete with e-ink is either in development hell, have either sold and resold their company multiple times without really releasing anything of note in the
Yeah.
last like 5 to 7 years. So you know, TCL kind of like announced this paper like in like November of last year. And like in January, they're like, hey, the first product's gonna be available in April. So I mean, that's cool that we're actually seeing a viable commercial product employing next paper technology. And depending on how well this sells, maybe we'll see larger models, maybe we'll see smaller models. We'll probably
Yeah.
see further adoption of next paper as long as people buy this. So where can you buy it? Well, basically nobody is taking pre-orders on this right now, except dun, 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 from goodyreader.com.
Because Mike and the news team has been talking extensively about this, you would not be surprised to know that Mike has a good relationship with the people at TCL to the point where he can ask things and set up dealer costs and stuff like that. So we actually have the pre-order on our site. It's not available yet, but we're the guys that are selling it because Mike's been talking to them for so long and we've been hitting them up and like, hey, what's this, that, and the other thing. You know, we just casually dropped after a year. We're like, hey, can we sell it? And they're like, oh, here's all this info. And we're like, oh, sweet. So there you go.
Yeah, so you could pre-order it for like $5.89.
Yeah.
So if the price ends up going down,
it's probably going to change. We'll know that it changes. Yeah.
So if you place the pre-order and like say the price ends up going down by like $50 or $100, and if you place, as long as you place the pre-order, we'll refund you like the difference. So
that's right. It's a price match until the day it actually ships.
Yeah, exactly. So we have a price match system like in place. So you know, you place the order like now, the pre-order now for like the April release. Now, it's important to note that if you live in Canada, the US, Mexico, South America, you know, in a large, more countries than not will not have access to this on day one because it's only launching in specific countries in Europe, specific countries like in Asia, specific countries in Africa. So it's not like available everywhere. And like, you know, the TCL really doesn't have like an extensive dealer network in place. So, you know,
except we do. So
yeah, exactly.
Get this early on enough and we continue our relationship with what we know and the information we've gotten from TCL, we will be just like we do with Fujitsu and Sony and Kingjim and, you know, Mitsubishi and Stadler and just just more than we could name. We bring these products to the world, and that's what we do, and that's why we are not a faceless company. That's why we do lives. That's why we do you know, phone chat. We have email. We have Facebook messaging. We're here, and we're here to help you. So yeah, that's basically all about TCL. We're moving on to our next topic for 10 minutes, which is
your mic is crackling.
Oh, sounds fine on my end, but let me just plug it in a little bit better, I suppose. Is it still crackling?
Yes,
I haven't changed anything. Oh, okay. I haven't changed my setup. Nothing has touched. Oh, is it mine? No, I don't. It's a new mic. I mean, I don't even touch it. Maybe it's your mic.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, yeah, the A5X by Supernote is the latest 2021 release of a Supernote product, and it is right here. This is the latest offering from Supernote. Now, unfortunately, Supernote recently has discontinued half of their lineup. They had two A6s, two A5s, one being the X variant, and they've gotten rid of the A5 and the A6. So they're now just having the X line, which has that Android Chauvet line of it's a style of Android that allows them to distribute apps to your device at their discretion. You can't download any app store. You can't even hack it to the point where you can sideload in APKs. It's nothing like that. Every once in a while, you might see like Kindle or like, you know, Dropbox or Google show up. So it's basically subject to when they want to release the respective app that they want to release. So they just released Kindle, for example. But anyways, it's very much the same on the outside, but it is upgraded on the inside. They're using a new operating system. Everything is man, everyone's like, the crackling's coming from me, but I haven't done anything. Come on, man.
Yeah, it's coming from you because like I unplugged my microphone completely and I still heard it.
Yeah, I just refreshed. How's that, everybody? I don't hear anything.
I still hear it.
I don't hear anything on my end. Yeah, someone says I don't hear it. Let's just continue because we have a bunch of people that say they don't hear it. Anyways, tech difficulties. I haven't touched my microphone. It's just right here on a setup. Either way, this is the A5X. It is very much the same on the outside. On the inside, it is upgraded, has different operating system. It's faster, latency is way down, which means it's quicker when you write. Now, a little bit of a complaint they have with these is that people want to choose their cases and they want to choose their pens, but everything is already factory sealed in a box. And when you open it, you get a case, you get a pen. You unfortunately can't choose that, and that's not something they allow. They're preventing you, and that's not something that, even if you wanted to, say, I want to pay more, can you do it? They can't, because everything is factory sealed. You have to open the plastic, open it up, take the case off, and then like at the very bottom, you're like, oh, I wanted the gold pen, but I got the white pen. We don't know if they're going to figure things out and maybe allocate certain ones, because some people want the gold ones, some people want the white ones, and that has been a little bit of a problem. But the device itself is basically supercharged from the last model. So the A5 was released late 2019, 2020. So they've been riding that out for a year plus. The A5X is really good. It's very much one of the truest writing feel on the market. It's not the fastest device. You can't put Facebook and stuff like that. You can't check your email, but it is very much one of the best writing experiences. And this because they put their rubber screen protector from edge to edge from factory, and it's regenerative. If you actually scratch the device, you can massage it out, and you actually can, because it's rubber. It's like if you have a lot of those table have like this thin synthetic leather surface, and if you push your nail into it, you'll see a mark, but it'll go away because it's actually regenerative, and it's pretty cool, and it's patented, and it's all theirs. So there's a lot of advantages to it, and it is quite a nice device. And is it worth getting over other devices? If you want just note taking, yes. If you want apps and all those other stuff and speakers, no, because it's very limiting, but it is good.
Yeah, so it is available for order on the Good e-Reader site. So if you want to order one, we have just a few models, like a few units in stock. So you can feel free to like do that. So it's basically going to be available like sometime like in Feb. That's sort of like they keep like manufacturing like only a certain number of like units. So then when those sold out, they sort of like go back to the factory and make like a few hundred more units. So Supernote's like a young company. They're not a large company. They don't raise, 50 million, $100 million from like investors. They pretty well take customers' money that place orders, use that money to produce like more units, and then, ship it like a month or two later. So, that's just how it is with Supernote. But their hardware, their line of digital stationery, it's really good. They're like one of the few companies that like produce their own cases, and like just not like a case that's black or white. They have cases that like have cool funky art designs and stuff like that. Their Heart and Metal line of styluses, what they have like
I think
16?
you got 10 to 12 different colors, and their stock pen is made out of metal as well. And their cases all have their patented rail attachment, and it slides right on, and there's actually a set pin in the middle, so when you put it on, it clicks, and that won't come out. And a lot of devices, you have a case and you have to take off like a double-sided tape and stick it on. Well, they figured this out, that you can slide different cases on and off on the back, and they have cases made out of plastic, cases made out of leather, canvas, paper even. It's pretty cool. They have a lot of good stuff going for them. It's USB-C, it's lightweight, it's built beautifully. I mean, the materials are definitely something that catches your eye about this. The build quality is definitely not cookie cutter. It's a little bit lack on specs. There's no speaker, there's no connectivity for like wireless sound or anything like that, but that's not what they're about. They're very much the way at Remarkable, and Remarkable operates the same way. They may seem like a multi-billion-dollar company. They're not. They basically delay their things 8 months because they take all that money from the new orders and they use it to fulfill the old stuff, and the wheel continues. So they have like not a facade, but they have an image that like they're the top of the king of the crop, but reality is they're operating on a flywheel, a very frugal flywheel setup, in which that's why people are waiting 9 months for their Remarkable. So Supernote's a little bit better than that. They get things out within the month. So I think if you're looking to get something now and you want like a good writing feel, little bit limited on everything else, Supernote is definitely solid.
I mean, from if you look at the Supernote A5 to the A5X, they went from a single processor to a quad core processor. They've doubled the RAM, they've doubled the internal storage. the battery size has been increased because it's running Android now instead of running Linux. So I mean, from the first generation A5 to the A5X, they've improved it in every possible way, any possible hardware way. The actual device itself, they're using the same shell, the same
Yeah.
back plating and stuff like that. But everything else is like, from the software to the hardware, has fundamentally all been changed. So if you have the A5 and you found that maybe it's slow, or you watched review videos and said it was slow, it was slow. I mean, you can only do so much on a single core processor. But now that this is like running a quad core processor, it's running Android. They do push apps out via firmware updates. So they do have the Kindle
Right.
app on the Supernote A5X now. And they are going to be pushing out apps as more people request it on there. So Supernote has like a Reddit page. So most people request apps via like their actual official Reddit page. So
Yeah.
you can request apps. I know they're considering adding Overdrive, Libby, and something else.
I think
Um,
they're doing some Google services. I think they were doing Drive or something like that, but nothing's confirmed yet. And again, it does come at the discretion of Supernote directly. So even if you say, I want, I don't know, I want like this PDF reader, or I want like this manga reader. Well, you can't get it unless they decide that they can warrant putting it on their device. If they can't justify it, they won't put it on there. So
Yeah. So one of the other benefits of Supernote as a brand is that they push updates more regularly than Remarkable. The last Remarkable update, I think, was from like November. Supernote does like updates like monthly. So they always like add new features, solve bugs, introduce new enhancements and stuff like that. They're a lot like Onyx books.
right.
In this regard, is that they push updates out regularly and they regularly fix things. So their engineering team is pretty well on point, whereas a lot of other brands out there do not do it regularly. So that's one thing to like bear in mind.
Yeah, that brings us to the end of all of our topics that we have gone through. Why don't we go to some questions for a little bit? And if you guys want to watch the VOD afterwards, we will be timestamping everything a little bit easier for you. Last week, Mike, you and I talked about eink smartwatches, and Cornelius Naoiki, again, a regular weekly viewer, has said that Fossil Hybrid HR watches are running e-ink screens.
Yeah, so Fossils
I think they are,
actually,
yeah.
they're a Canadian company. They have, so I've looked into them. I've written about like their new line of like HR smartphones, or sorry,
Yeah. Smartwatches,
smartwatches.
yeah.
So they're not really smartwatches. They're pretty well just e-ink watches, but they focus on like aesthetics. So they have a line for men and women. The bands are different. The crowns are different. There's different sizes of the crowns. So you can do like 30, 33, 42, 44 in terms of like the overall crown size,
Yeah,
in
yeah,
terms of
yeah.
how big this is. But it looks like a traditional watch. They sell anywhere from like about 250 to about 450.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's pretty well for men and women. There's around 30 to like 40 different like watches that you could order. It pretty well uses the same like internals in terms of the e-ink
I
watch.
see
It's just
that,
like
yeah.
different screens and stuff like that. So maybe you could like put it on screen share and show people it.
Yeah, so he might be onto something because it is a watch, and you're right, it is just a watch. And you can never get rid of those second hands and the hour hand because that's there forever. But this particular one does look like it does read. You can read. How can you read text with the hour hand and the minute hand, the watch hands in the way? I guess they're behind the watch hands. So if the I mean, I'm only seeing this one layout with the heartbeat, the date, and the time. If you can indeed actually change that, and I see here that you have automatic time zones, control your music, ring your phone, activity tracking. This might be one of the only, if not the only, smart watch. Although it's that fine line because you're dealing with a round watch face and
It's
you're
not
dealing with
smart. A smartwatch is like total like Android Wear. It's like where you could like
this is
install
darn
apps and
close.
stuff on it. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
there's a
You're
lot.
right. Yeah, this is, oh man, this is dang close. And I see right here actually it says leaving now, see you soon. But you're always gonna have that circle watch face.
I don't
You're
see
always
it. I
gonna have
see
those.
like the YouTube chat. You're
Oh,
not
there we
showing
go.
the screen.
Yeah, you can see like the text on the screen. It does look like you will be able to read text messages, but you can never get rid of those hour and minute hands because they're physically on the device. This might be breaking down the barrier between smartwatch and regular watch, but it's not quite there. You are correct. Uh, Sorry, who said that? Cornelius. However, yes, a true smartwatch would be a square screen, some sort of screen that gives you full control. You're able to download apps. They'd have its own app store. This one's dang close. Yes, you can do exercise tracking. You can do, or
Heart
previewing
rates
your
and
text and stuff
stuff.
like that. It's pretty close, but again, it's $400+, and there's basically no other brand out there that you can grab this from. I think Epson had one in Japan, but it was like a limited run with just like Hello Kitty and Disney bands, and then there was gone. So yes, there might be some one-offs. I will give you the prize to that one, but this isn't like the norm yet. So to go to a store and buy an e-ink smartwatch, no. Can you find the one-off designs like this that you can do text and activity tracking and ring your phone? Sure, but it's still not there. You're on the right track though. That is good. Mike, and we touched on this a couple weeks back. Rocco asks, are e-ink screens more expensive to manufacture than LCD? And I believe I'll pass it over to you in a sec, Mike. But it's not that they're more expensive. It's just that there's less of a race to the bottom because there's fewer people doing it.
It's scale. Like there's only like what a factory in Taiwan, and two factories like in China. That's it. Those are the three like locations that actually make e-paper displays. Whereas who makes LCD displays?
Oh, dude,
Like
every country in the world will have their
Vietnam, like
LCD.
China,
Everyone.
India, like
No,
the
literally, all
US.
Europe, everyone makes in some way LCD screens will have something to do with TVs. You think most products are made in China's. Well, there will always be actual panels made in almost every country in the world. India,
Mexico.
Bangladesh, Mexico, South America. There will be some sort of manufacturing to any scale, maybe not on your Samsung phone, but yes, almost everyone makes LCDs. And that's why you say, I want to make my LCD phone. There's a million people you can choose. You go over to John in, I don't know, Norway, and he's like, yeah, my screens are $10. You go over to India, my screens are $6. You get that choice, you get that versatility. E-ink screens, you say, I want to make a 10.3. There's like one company in the world you can legitimately deal with. So if they say my panel isn't $10 like the LCD, it's $110, then you either say no or you say, well, you're the only guy, I'll choose you. So it is complete supply and demand. And yeah, like Mike said, it's scale. There's no players in the game doing e-ink. Everyone and their mom makes phones and TVs
Right.
and laptops and
E-ink
TV screens
has
and everything.
E-ink has all the patents for the
That's right.
technology, so it's
Yeah.
not like other people could just like do white labeled versions of this because they'd be like sued into oblivion because like e-ink's like been around for like 20
Yeah.
years plus as like
And that's
as
why
a
we see the
company.
alternatives like Mobius and Clearink and TCL and RLCD from Hisense. They're trying to do different things because e-ink is basically the authority. They're the monopoly in it. So
Yeah.
you can't go to anyone else to get your manufacturing. You can't go to some guy in Cambodia and say, "Hey, I want e-ink screens." They're like, "Well, we don't do that." And then you go to 120 other countries and they're like, "We don't do that." You finally go to Taiwan, or like Mike said, Taiwan, China, and a few players in the game, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we got screens. They're $145 each." You either say no or you say yes. So that's why, Rocco, they are so expensive, because the choice is next to nothing. Whereas if I want to make a phone, you look online, you can order LCD panels just like with a ribbon cable for like pennies on Ali. I mean, it's a real thing. So that's the reason. Yeah. Bye, guys. No, I'm just kidding. We are done with all of our topics, though. And actually, chat wasn't working for the first 20 minutes, Mike. There were no settings wrong. I went into the back end and I checked that everything was checked properly. I had to basically click everything and click everything off again and do that several times, and it actually kicked back. So we did lose a lot of chat during the first 15 minutes of the show. So we don't have a whole lot of questions piled up. So why don't you do some quick bits and we'll see where that takes us. I'm gonna drink some.
Sure. So Amazon has activated a remote feature to add faster page turns to the Kindle Oasis. So it's just for the Kindle Oasis, and this was from the firmware update issued in December. So if you don't have, I believe it's the
Oh, it's like the precise version number, correct?
yeah, so I don't really have it, but it's like you just like leave your Kindle connected to like Wi-Fi and it should automatically download it. So that's something interesting to know. Plastic Logic just got an investment of like, 50-60 million dollars from DKA Displays. DKA is basically in China. They focus on like digital like price tags and things like that. So they want to like focus on companies that sorry, one sec. So okay, in a minute. So basically with DKE, they want to do more. They want to expand into like the wearables field. So they want to expand outside of price tags and do like watches, smart bands, like the eink, the lanyards that like you wear, the badges at trade shows that like are made of e-ink. So they want to get involved outside of price tags into like more sort of areas. I talked about at the beginning of the show, Wattpad got sold to Naver. Apple is making a premium podcast subscription service to take on Spotify. Medium just purchased the ebook company Gloss. Gloss has been in operation since like 2014. They sell ebooks and audiobooks from all the major publishers. Basically, Medium is like a sort of like a blogging type platform. And so what they want to do is they want authors that publish with Medium to be able to advertise their ebooks that are sold also on Medium, rather than get like diverted to like third-party sites like, hey, buy my book on Amazon. So you have to go from Medium to Amazon. Medium wants to sort of like have everything in their own site. So they're going to be adopting everything from Gloss to Medium sometime like in the next like 6 months or so. Amazon has had a lawsuit filed against them for ebook price fixing. This is from a number of like courts, like a number of like state attorneys and stuff are like basically suing them. There's sort of like under investigation for artificially lowering the price of like ebooks, which they did early on in their business, but basically publishers determine the price of like ebooks for like the last like 5 or 6 years. So I don't think that these lawyers really understand how Amazon used to do things, like when 2007 to about like 2011, 13 or so, when like Apple basically launched their iBooks like platform, and like they basically got sued by like everybody for like price fixing and stuff. So basically the law firm that's representing like these different states is the same law firm that successfully sued Apple for price fixing. So that's actually an interesting like little tidbit, because they are no stranger to the publishing industry and like suing big companies and actually winning. So whether this will go anywhere remains to be seen. Lenovo has released their ThinkBook Gen 2 design that actually has a better e-ink display and a larger e-ink display. So this is like kind of cool that like Lenovo is pretty well the only big mainstream company that has adopted e-ink displays. So it's basically you have your LCD display, typical laptop, and then they have on the back of the LCD display a secondary e-ink screen. So you can actually use that as a keyboard. Use it to do anything on e-ink. It is a total independent screen than what's on the LCD screen. So there's a lot of possibilities that are endless. The pen that works on the main screen actually works on the e-ink screen too. So you can take notes,
That's cool.
jot down appointments and stuff like that. It's like $1,600. So it's pretty expensive. Like all e-ink products, they're just ridiculously overpriced for what they are. And that's QuickBits.
We have a couple things in the production side moving. We are doing some content on the A5X that we'll have a review coming up. The A7 stuff just went up. A7CC, which is the color version, will be coming up next month. And King Jim, who we have been just recently started a relationship with, they sent us the King Jim Freeno, they sent us a stylus, they sent us the Kakumiru pad that is good for memos. They have even more e-ink products apparently. They pinged us again and they said, well, what about an e-ink screen attached to a folding laptop keyboard? And we were like, yeah, send us that yesterday. So it's called the I think it's the Palemo. We just added it this morning. It's an e-ink screen with it's a foldable keyboard. So it folds up into this nice carrying case. It's kind of like the Freewrite, except it's all made in Japan and it's all e-ink and it's all good. So
that's it's a cheaper version of the Freewrite.
Oh yeah, so it's hundreds of dollars cheaper, and it's all English and everything, and it has a full size keyboard, and it just slides out. It's gonna be really cool and really tactile feel and everything, they said. So that's coming in, should be in a day or so. And we have a new stylus coming in that we are going to be doing some testing on. And yeah, everything is going to be on our YouTube channel. We'll try to do a video a day because there's been a lot of stuff. And once all the big names are out of the way, you're going to see all that Sony stuff reemerge. We had some people asking about the Sony e-ink home appliance remote because it works on everything. A couple smartwatch reviews coming up. So there's going to be lots of stuff. There's going to be no shortage of content. And the Bigme should be landing any day now this week, we hope, and we will be able to do an unboxing review of that as well.
Speaking of content production, as you've noticed probably in the last month, our videos have gotten a little bit better. That's due to a new camera that we have.
Yeah, in 2021, we decided to look at our previous views, and we've had 40-something million odd views, almost 100,000 subscribers, and we're like, well, why don't we allocate a couple bucks to some camera equipment? So we actually did buy a couple new cameras, and we've employed more 2-camera setups and stuff. So when we do get in there, and before we had 2 or 3 people in there, and a lot of people when we're filming didn't have much to do. So now we actually have not only allocated the people who help us create the content jobs, we have just better quality. So we had some ideas thrown around that we should do some set decoration. We bought some boards of pine and everything, little knickknacks to put in the frame, potted plants, little bowls, trinkets and stuff to really liven things up. And this just came over this just came about because of the year-end talk we have every year, year-end board meeting wrap up. And we were like, yeah, let's, allocate some money here, there, this, that, and the other thing. And yeah, we just bought a couple cameras, actually pretty high-end, kind of normal 2021 stuff. And yeah, you'll notice a little bit of a different approach because we're getting more people to do B-roll and, pick up shots and stuff like that. So just changing it up, keeping things interesting, keeping things new and fresh. And you should be able to see that in all videos coming up.
Yeah. So what does this mean to people who are casually watching our videos? Well, there's better white balance now. We've always shot in 4K for the last 4 or 5 years, but now we shoot with more pixels. So there's
and everything
we're pushing more pixels.
Yeah.
And yeah, so basically you'll notice better image quality, better color accuracy and uniformity. So those are the things that you'll notice. So if you watch a video that's made in 2021 and then go back and watch another video that was made a year ago, you'll see, and if you have them side by side, split screen view, you notice a lot of differences. So that's just our continued efforts to just produce better e-reading content for you guys. For all, we invest a lot of time and energy into doing a video a day, that it takes a lot to do that. So we want to make sure that we just put our best foot forward in just
right.
better cameras. So we always upgrade our cameras every couple years just to make sure that we're using the latest and greatest technologies. I would obviously like to use a red camera setup or like an 8K camera setup, but you know, YouTube doesn't really support like 8K yet. So
And
there's
for a lot of you guys that don't know a lot about film, they have cameras that are just a cube, and you build it. You know, what I mean, it would just be the body, which is a cube. You would choose your lens. You would choose your like, you know, top attachment rail for zoom and other controls. You would choose like your viewfinder, your side mounted, you know, LCD screen. You know, you would choose like your microphone setup with XLR, maybe mixing board that would attach to the side. They have cameras that are very like, you know, build it yourself, but they're
they're modular. Yeah.
modular. Yeah,
Yeah.
they do have those. And actually a lot of the time, I worked in the film industry for 10 years in Canada. If you look at the actual body of most motion picture cameras that aren't choosing film but are just digitally shooting, they're just a square. Everything else comes out of it. The lens is this gigantic thing that requires a guy to hold it while they disassemble it when they want to switch lenses. The actual body frame of the camera is not that big. It's just like a box, and everything else attaches to that. You know, the mixing board that goes to the sound guys, the viewfinder for the guy who's on camera, and you know, the grips so he can watch the viewfinder as he's moving things, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of interesting that it's come down a little bit to the consumer level, but no, not everyone will go to the store and say, I want that one. It's like $40,000 just for the square, and then like a $10,000 lens. Like, it's not realistic, but they do have them.
Yeah, we're not like Linus Media Group or
No,
like
no, no.
MKV or anything like that. We're not getting
YouTube
like we're
is
not
just
getting
a small,
10
yeah.
we're not getting 10 million views like on a video and you know number
YouTube is a
one on
very small
trending.
thing about our company. We do a lot in the background. I mean, Mike spearheads all the development for countless of apps and in-house products we've made over the years. We make e-reader products ourselves. We have done since off and on since 2014, since the Good e-reader 13.3. We just made the eraser. We have a premium stylus. We have a lot of stuff we make in-house as well. YouTube is just a thing that it's a way to connect with our fans and show them all the videos we do. But no, we don't have millions of views per video. We know we only get a couple thousand. That's why it's just a small part of our company. You know, device sales and news publication, sending people to trade shows when they get back in action. That's the majority of it. We have a lot of facets, so we try to, you know, hire as many people to create jobs and just spread the wealth and, you know, make sure everyone has a hand in making Good e-reader what it is.
Yeah, I mean, since we you know we've been writing about e-readers since like 2009, so we know a thing or two about them, and YouTube is just like I'd like to just be able to do it to like share the news with you guys.
Yeah.
Do every single review of you know, we used to just do news like reviews on the website, and then it's like, hey, you know, we might as well do like hands-on video reviews in order to like for people that are wanting to considering to buy it. We know a lot of people watch YouTube to make practical buying decisions, and that's been like, you know, last 10 years people have been doing that. So if you're in the market for a laptop or a tablet or an e-reader or something, your competitive research is not like reading Amazon reviews or like Googling, you know, Kindle Oasis reviews. You don't do that. You watch YouTube and see like what people reviewing it are honestly saying, and you generally watch like the review from like maybe one or two or three different channels just to see if there's like some sort of bias there. But considering there's not a lot of channels actually even talking about e-readers or reviewing, you know, if they review them, it's like reviewing the latest Kobo, the latest Amazon, and they don't touch anything else. Whereas we're about
touch on
yeah,
they'll touch on the thing you can buy at Best Buy, and that's obviously they do it to a much bigger scale than us because they have like 25 people doing one video, and they have a lot more money than we do, of course, which is why we don't, not until kind of very recently have we allocated a lot of more money to YouTube, because it isn't the biggest thing we do. But another thing is that if you want to buy a Samsung phone, you can go to any store and they have the booth and you can pick up the phone and say, I like this. You can't do that with e-readers. Outside of the odd like Clara HD or like a Kindle Paperwhite, you don't know what an Onyx feels like. You don't know what a Supernote is, what an A7 feels like, but we try to bring that to you as best we can. So that's the reason we do YouTube, is basically to show you guys And now we've actually gone past the point of having it like anchored down. We're like, you know what, hold it up on camera. So we've had people hold it and like swipe the page, so it's like, this is as best as we can actually show you guys. You know, if we did like VR and we did a 3D version of it and we're like, you know, whoa, this is totally awesome, that would be like the next level.
Whoa, excellent.
It'll be radical. But yeah, that's like as best as we can do there for you. So that's why we do YouTube, and that's why we're trying to give you the best idea possible. So
Speaking of YouTube, we
Yeah.
appreciate each and every one of you that
yeah.
watch our videos, watch our live
Absolutely.
streams, comment on chat. So we do this at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern every Saturdays. So yeah, this is a shorter edition of the live show. We're going to do more shorter editions going forward. So hopefully you dig it. We apologize for a little bit of the technical difficulty that we had midway through the show.
Yeah, there was
but,
a lot actually today. For some
you
reason,
know,
chat was working, and then screen share kicked out, and then my mic acted up. So we're gonna look into all that, because that's not good.
yeah. So we hope that you've enjoyed today's edition of the show. We have a Slack channel you can join by going to goodyreader.com and clicking on the little the little button at the top for that, and it's a live chat system. It's sort of like Discord. So yeah, thanks for watching the show. For goodyreader.com, my name is Michael.
This is Peter.
Everybody take care.
See you guys.